Welcome back, Northwest Bass Holes and Super Bass Hole Fishing Tournament family. Here is the second installment of what was sent to me by Yaakov Levy of Hebrew Texas Fishing Lures. Yesterday I put out a video and it was about the ugly bugs that was sent down to him via Bo Merkel of Samsung's Lures for our little painters competition that we had going on. And Yaakov just knocked it out of the park. He just jumped right in, despite, the talent that he was up against, and he delivered. It's just like, wow. Anyway, let's get into the baits that he has sent, and these are the plastics. And let's see, about 4 years ago, when I first started doing business with Yaakov, I was talking to him about a skirted worm, and how I was cutting tubes up and using rubber bands and super glue and just any way that I could think of attaching it to try to make it more durable in order to create something for myself when I was out bass fishing. And anyway, he and we talked back and forth, and we were bouncing ideas off of each other, and we were coming up with different prototypes, and nothing worked. I mean, they did work, but they weren't durable, and there was problems. But now here it is. He's got it all worked out, and I've got a lot of these things to go through. So sit back, enjoy, get yourself a cup of coffee, and we'll go from there. All right, let's get into it. What we have here is the Texas, let's see if I can read this. The Texas Paddler. It's in the Mystery Machine color. Of course, it is the minnow. And it's got that like Scooby-Doo van colors. It's got the orange, and it's got the skirt attached to the front, normally where you'd run your bait through. It's going to give that extra flutter on the front as it's going through the water. And of course, we've all seen this tail, as we're dragging it back in and just have bass chase it down. This is going to attract a lot of attention in the water. And thank you, Yaakov. Now, we've got several different kinds of colors of these, and here is Hebrew Ice, and again, it is the skirted Texas Paddler. Look at that. Absolutely awesome. And I think this particular color, right now, now that it's colder, would be fairly attractive to bass. I would set this up maybe like on a Ned rig or something, and just slowly work it across the bottom and see if you can't drag it over the top of a bass, because out here in the Northwest they're a little lethargic. And he sent a Ned rig setup with it, but this was more like a chatterbait so that you can get it to flop and flutter as it's going through the water. And I thought that was a really cool idea. And that's the great thing about creativity and baits. I mean, you're only limited by your imagination. And I sit back when I'm doing other things and I just think about some baits that I haven't seen or what I would like to see. And then I guess you could say I'm kind of an idea guy. And then I will present those ideas to people that have the talent to actually bring it into being. And sometimes they tell me, man, that's just absolutely stupid. And it's like, well, stupid baits sometimes work. But anyway, here we have the Texas Paddler again, but it's in the bass hole color, the color that Yaakov developed for Northwest Bass Holes, and just beautifully done. And we have the bucket mouth snack. Look at all this fringe on the front. When this is going through the water is going to push back against it, and these are all going to flutter back along the body here with that tail going. Who could resist it? If I was a bass out there and that thing came swimming by, one of two things. I'd either be repulsed by it because it's so ugly, or it's like, I haven't seen that before, and it looks delicious, and just snack on it. All right, and the last skirted paddler, Texas Paddler that we have is the Solar Ice. Now, it's kind of a lime green color, and it's got a lot of glitter sparkle in it, and it's just lovely, absolutely lovely. Springtime, when the bass are sitting on beds and whatnot, drag this thing across it and see what happens. Oh yeah, this thing would get tore up, I know it. All right, let's move on to some of the worms. Now, this was the idea that I had been coming up with that I first approached Yakov with, and he just went gangbusters with the idea. And he's kind of been playing around and experimenting with all the various different types of baits that he does and putting some skirts on them. And here we are. And this one is the skirted wiggler, bucket mouth snack, and that's the color. Look at that. And it's got that kind of paddle tail on the bottom down there like that, and then up here, you know, and there's not going to be any wrong way to fish this. If you were to set this up, you know, as a wacky and fish this, or a Carolina rig, it doesn't matter. You get it down, work whatever water column that you want with this worm, they're going to be all over it, all over it. Now, one of the favorites that I keep going back to in various different colors, and many of you have received them in either giveaways or in prize boxes for the Super Bass Hole Fishing Tournament, but this one here is the skirted Texas Fatty Wiggler. Now, I love the Fatty Wigglers, and I love fishing these things, you know, as a Ned rig. It is a big honking worm. It is probably one of the thicker worms that I've seen out there, and the bass will not leave it alone. But again, we have the skirt on it that Yakov's attached to it. You tell me if you don't think this would work. It adds a little more movement, a little more presentation. You know, it's for me when I'm out in the woods and I'm walking around, especially when I used to hunt quite a bit, it was movement that always attracted my eye. Now, sometimes because of the water clarity, depending on where you're at and what time of year it is, some colors work better than others, but it's primarily movement that will catch the bass's eye. Okay, something. Now we're concentrating on that over here, and it's like, okay, I picked it up. Then the color becomes key, and then if you have something extra out there that is going to be shifting and reflecting light and adding more movement, why wouldn't it work? Why wouldn't it work? All right, we have here the skirted Texas Dragon Wiggler in Melon Blues. This looks like something that you like off the movie Aliens, you know, come up out of the egg. You know, get it off, you know. Anyway, look at that. I'd fish this. I'd fish this all day long. I bet you $10. 10 to 1 against dimes. I would absolutely destroy with this, and I bet you can too. And what we're going to do with a lot of these baits is that since they are new in Yakov's lineup, I am going to take some of these. I'm going to put them up in a giveaway after we get done with the giveaway on Northwest Bass Holes for the set of 2 ugly bugs, and we will get another giveaway going right after that, and we will give these baits away to some lucky people out there and give them a chance, because spring is fast approaching, and put these bad boys to work. And hopefully you will share your catches with us on Northwest Bass Holes, and you know, give Yakov some feedback on this particular product that he has put out to us. What we have here is the skirted wiggler in black ice. Now this thing, look at this. That is a thing of nightmares right there. I mean, can you imagine? Better yet, when you were a kid, you know, this was the thing that was hiding underneath your bed. Yeah, you know, terrified dreams. And this is the kind of stuff that bass dream about, and they see that and they go, oh my God, that looks delicious, and they are going to jump on it and maul it. Look at that. More movement everywhere. Look at that. All right. And just when you think that you couldn't do anything more to the crayfish, we have the skirted crayfish, and it's Yakov calls it the Jew crawdad. And at the back end, where you would normally hook up, it's got the added skirt to it, so it's going to add more movement. And then, of course, in the front we have, you know, our 2 pincers and our antennae. How cool is that? Could you catch bass with it? I bet you could. Yeah, anyway. Now this is one of my personal favorites right here. Not because it's just, you know, done up in the bass hole color, but I love fishing Ned rigs when the bite turns off, especially when it's hotter and the bass head to the bottom. And you drop this down on top of them and get this thing moving. Now, normally you would rig it, the Ned rig here, and then it'd be sitting up like this, and that wiggling piece would be up here doing this number. I would do it the other way from the bottom, so that this is sitting up at the top, and as it's sitting on the bottom, it's doing that. It's going to give you a bigger sight target. Oh yeah. How could you say no? I know you couldn't. I know you couldn't. Okay, we have here the skirted Texas curly grub and sapphire Jew. Now, I've fished a lot of these, and with the added bonus of the skirt on the front, it is just going to give it that little extra oomph that they can't say no to. And this color right now, at this time of year, you get this where the bass are down along the bottom, put a little weight on this. I probably would fish at Carolina rig and just work it real slow right across the bottom and entice that bite. There we go. Now, we've seen this color before, and let me tell you, it works. It's becoming a go-to color that a lot of people out there are using, especially in crankbaits. Lou Roberto has done some outstanding crankbaits in this color, so has David Wyatt and Bo Merkel. And I absolutely love this color. Why? Because it works. Here we have the skirted curly wiggler in the goldfish color. Look at that. You could fish this as a Ned rig. You could fish this with a drop shot. You could fish this as a wacky, any way that you want. I mean, if the creativity of a bait maker is only limited by their own imagination, then you're only limited by your imagination on how you can fish this. So that's what we've got today, people, for the plastic baits. If you've liked anything you have seen here, get a hold of Yakov Levy at Hebrew Texas Fishing Lures and take a look at what he is doing out there. Between Yakov and Terrence Downing of Too Fresh Fishing, these are my two go-to plastics guys that I constantly hit up and I say, hey, can you, will you? And they go forth and they do it. And Yakov has brought us some outstanding products today, and if you like it, contact him. He'd appreciate the business. Support your small business owner. And remember, people, you know, fishing is best done when you have somebody with you to help make a memory with. Ah, the oven went off. My banana nut bread is done. Ooh. But anyway, remember this, people, no matter where you are at, everybody is northwest of somewhere. I will talk to you later. You have a fantastic day. And until next time, tight lines to everybody. Bye-bye for now.